Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at sprinkledwithglitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing a brand new card featuring some brand new products from Pinkfresh Studio. This release is full of foils and florals and stamps and stencils, and I know that you're gonna love it. And here's a look at a couple of the brand new products that I'll be using today. I will be using this Folk Garden 2 hot foil plate as well as the coordinating die and stencils, but I did want to show you the entire product suite. I store all of the entire suite together in one stamp pocket, so I know that everything in this pocket coordinates. And I'll also be using the brand new brushed sentiment suite. Now look how big these sentiments are. I'm holding up my hand to it so you can see. These are some chunky sentiments. And they are enough to stand alone as the focal point on your card project. Now these plates, there are 2 hot foil plates that are one piece and 2 coordinating dies. And in the stamp set, the stamps are also one piece like this, divided into these 2 sentiment sections. I'm going to be hot foiling them today. Now there are coordinating stencils as well, and you can use the stencils as a standalone or in coordination with the stamp set too, and I can't wait to show you that. But first, I wanted to just show you how gorgeous these sentiments are. So I have my plate on my foil press here. I've placed my foil onto the foil plate with the pretty side facing the design of the foil plate, so the dull side facing my paper. Then I placed my paper on top of it and my shim. I set my timer to 15 seconds, and then I ran this through my Gemini Junior to apply the pressure. And look at these gorgeous foiled sentiments. Now I want to give you a look at the other sentiment grouping here as well, and a couple things I wanted to point out as you watch me foil these. I have my foil press on the medium heat setting, and I really tend to like this heat setting, especially when I'm using the Spellbinders Glimmer foils, which I am using today. I'm using the Glimmer foil in the color Champagne. Now look at these. I mean, they are just absolutely gorgeous. And by the way, I'm going to be back with another video tutorial tomorrow featuring these sentiments. I'm going to be using this holographic foil tomorrow on my card project. Look at this. I mean, does it get any better than that? I think not. And just for a little spoiler alert here, I just wanted to show you that these take on a very different look when they're foiled in different colors. So keep that in mind. And if you're not a foiler, number one, I'm so sad for you because I really want you to join the foil club because I love it so much. But there are stamps available for both of these designs that I'm using today. So now I'm using the Folk Garden 2 hot foil plate. This is brand new from Pinkfresh Studio, and I'm foiling it with the champagne foil as well. And I am using the Hammer Mill cardstock today. That tends to be my favorite for foiling. I know that that seems to be hard to find right now, and I apologize for that. I have heard that the Nina Solar White 80 pound is similar. I have both of them, but my first preference is probably the Hammer Mill for foiling. Now I am taking the coordinating stencil set and I'm lining them up. I work on a glass mat and it is magnetic. So I just use the magnets from my Misty stamping tool to hold my paper and my stencil in place while I use my blending brushes to blend over these stencils. Now I did trim out a lot of the ink blending because I wanted you to see what colors I was using, but this is just very basic ink blending. I'm not even trying to make like the tip of it darker than the end of it. I'm just doing some basic ink blending. I started with Peach Fuzz for Stencil 1. For Stencil 2, I used Coral Reef. And today for my color palette, I decided to bring in some blues for my leaves. Now, this has been pretty common, but I have to tell you, I don't consider myself a blue person. I grew up with like all blue furniture in my home when I was a child, and I think it created an aversion for me. But I decided to kind of break out of my color palette comfort zone, and instead of using mints and very yellowy greens, I decided to use the blues today. Now, my color palette was actually inspired by a little search that I did on Scandinavian folk art. And so I drew my color palette from that search. And I have to tell you, I am very pleased with the results. Now, oftentimes I would use a very pale pink, like the ballet slipper and the coral reef. Today I've used coral reef and passion fruit. It gives it a little more punch, and I'm also using peach fuzz. Now, the two blues that I'm using are Blue Jay and Stargazer, and the Stargazer is the darker part for this detail layer of the leaves. And I have to tell you that every now and then, I very much surprise myself when I kind of bust out of my comfort zone and do something a little different. Now, while the pinks tend to be in my wheelhouse still, this blue is a lot of the color story here. So if you are finding yourself stuck in a rut, try not changing up the entirety of your color palette. Like for me, if I would have changed the entirety of my color palette, I wouldn't have even used pink and peach on this. But instead, I've chosen to just kind of substitute one portion of the color palette that I'm comfortable with. That tends to make me feel a little more comfortable going out of my comfort zone. And it kind of allows me to explore some other colors in my craft room without feeling like I've just created something that's not me at all. I hope that makes sense. So I've used the coordinating Folk Garden 2 die to die cut all of the elements. And then I have die cut this small scalloped rectangle frame from a Pinkfresh Studio die. And I have used some Paper Source Blush Luxe cardstock for that. And then I also die cut a background using the Pinkfresh Stitches cover plate. This is one that I kind of pulled out. I haven't used in a while, but I think those stitches really complement this folk floral kind of that we're using today in a very beautiful way. So I've trimmed down that cover plate and placed it behind my very beautiful scalloped frame there. And I've attached my pieces to just the left side of the frame. Now, the final little piece that I'm attaching onto the bottom left-hand corner of this frame, I'm using a little bit of foam adhesive for that. And now I'm going to take the one-piece die and die cut these beautiful foiled brushed sentiments. And I will end up placing this hello sentiment using some foam adhesive kind of tucked behind this floral. And I have to tell you, I didn't really plan this in advance. It just fit perfectly. And I absolutely love the way it kind of nestles in there. Now I'm taking this entire portion, this frame and florals and all, and mounting it on a small piece of navy cardstock. And then I've mounted that to a top folding A2 size card using just some straight tape runner adhesive. Now I will say behind the frame, I used some foam adhesive to kind of give it a little more dimension. And I finished off my card project by kind of zhuzhing up the florals just a little bit, meaning that I just kind of curled the ends that I hadn't adhered down, and I added some blue jewels from the Pinkfresh Essentials line. And that finishes off my card project today. A little deviation from my norm, but I have to tell you, I love the way that this turned out. So don't be afraid to go outside of your comfort zone. And if you're afraid to go outside, maybe just like put your toe out by just changing one portion like I suggested earlier. Now you will notice if you zoom in on these photos, my stenciling isn't perfect, but I think these are beautiful just the same. So don't be too hard on yourself when it comes to adding this stenciled color to your finished images. As always, I will have links to the featured products used in this project in the description at YouTube, but head on over to my blog at sprinkledwithglitter.com. I will have that linked in the YouTube description below. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, a complete list of supplies, as well as a blog hop celebrating this brand new release from Pinkfresh Studio. You'll find prizes and tons of eye candy along the hop, so you want to make sure you join me over there. As always, thanks so much for stopping by. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this project and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here on my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials. And if you loved this video, I would love it if you would share it with a friend as well. Thanks again for watching. Thanks for joining me. Join me back here again tomorrow for another card project featuring those beautiful brushed foiled sentiments. And until then, I hope you have a fabulous day.